Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a huge misconception about the world of digital currency. This whole idea that it's totally secret and untraceable.
When you hear the word cryptocurrency, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably this image of anonymous digital cash, right? The kind of stuff spies in the movies would use.
But the reality, especially for the big ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, it is so much more complicated than that. And honestly, it's way, way less private than you might think.
All right, so let's get into it. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to start with this one key distinction that just changes everything. It's not really about anonymity. Well, not in the way you might expect. So instead of using your real name, crypto uses these crazy long strings of letters and numbers. We call them public keys or addresses. This whole concept, it's called pseudonymity. You're not John Smith, you're just some random address. And the cool thing is, you can have as many of these pseudonyms as you want. Okay, and this is so important, having a pseudonym is just the first part of the puzzle. For true anonymity, you need something else. It's called unlinkability. Basically, it means that nobody can connect the dots and prove that all your different pseudonyms, all those different addresses, belong to you, the same person.
And that is the huge Achilles heel for something like Bitcoin. Why? Because every single transaction, from day one until the one that just happened seconds ago, is etched into this public ledger for the whole world to see. It's like leaving a permanent trail of digital breadcrumbs that never ever goes away.
So how does someone actually follow these breadcrumbs? Well, let's look at a super simple story. Meet Alice. She's pretty savvy, right? She's got her crypto split between two different wallets. Let's call them Wallet A and Wallet B. Each one has its own unique address, its own pseudonym. Okay, so one day, Alice is browsing and she finds this teapot. She has to have it, but there's a catch. The price is just a little bit more than what she has in Wallet A, and it's also more than what she has in Wallet B. So what does she do? Well, here's the critical part. To pay for that teapot, she has to make one single transaction that takes money from both Wallet A and Wallet B. And the second she does that, bam! She's just created a permanent public link on the blockchain that basically shouts to the entire world, hey everyone, the person who owns Wallet A, they also own Wallet B.
And this is where it all clicks into place. You take Alice's one little transaction, right? Now imagine that happening millions of times, with millions of users and billions of transactions. What you get is this massive, tangled web. We call it a transaction graph. And this is exactly what data analysts do. They follow these links, cluster addresses together, and slowly but surely start to strip away the anonymity of the whole network.
So this whole situation opens up a huge can of worms, a really big debate. If these systems aren't as private as we thought, should we make them private? And what would that even mean? What are the pros and what are the cons?
Yeah, the whole argument for financial privacy is a classic double-edged sword. On one side, it's a huge deal for personal freedom. It can protect activists living under oppressive governments, it can keep your spending habits private from big companies, it can even protect you from criminals who might target you if they knew how much you had. But the flip side is that the very same privacy can be used for things like tax evasion, money laundering, and all sorts of other criminal stuff.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem, The technology itself doesn't care if you're good or bad. There's no switch for it. The exact same tech that protects a dissident or a journalist is the tech that can hide a criminal's money trail.
So faced with this massive challenge, a lot of developers have been on this quest, really, to find a better way, to build new systems where true anonymity isn't an afterthought. It's baked in from the very beginning.
The key concept behind pretty much all of these privacy technologies is something called an anonymity set. The easiest way to think about it is like hiding in a crowd. If you're standing alone, you're easy to spot. But if you're in a massive crowd, you just blend in. The bigger the crowd, the anonymity set, the better your privacy, because your transaction could have come from any one of those people.
Some of the first tries at creating this crowd were things called mixers or tumblers. It was pretty simple. You'd send your coins to a service, they'd mix them all up in a big digital pot with a bunch of other people's coins, and then send you back different coins. The big problem, though, you had to trust that central service not to keep records or just run off with your money. A much smarter idea that came along was CoinJoin. It's a way for a bunch of users to get together and create one big, jumbled-up transaction, which makes it super hard to figure out which input paid for which output.
But see, both of those solutions are kind of bolted on after the fact. You have to go out of your way to use them.
The real holy grail for privacy, folks, has always been to build a system where privacy isn't just an optional extra. It's the default setting, built right into the core of the cryptocurrency.
And a perfect example of this is a privacy coin called Monero. It uses this amazing trifecta of technologies to pull it off. First, for the receiver, it uses something called stealth addresses, so a new one-time address is used for every transaction. Second, for the sender, it uses ring signatures, which basically hides the real sender in a small group of decoys. And third, it even hides the amount of money being sent. So when you hide the sender, the receiver, and the amount, well, that's when you start getting to what looks like real anonymity.
Okay, so this whole search for privacy, it's not just about some fancy coding trick. It actually plugs into a really deep, really fundamental idea about what money is.
And that idea is called fungibility. It sounds complicated, but it's super simple. It just means that every unit of a currency should be totally interchangeable. Think about it. A dollar is a dollar, right? The dollar bill I have is worth the exact same as the dollar bill you have. We don't care about its history.
But on a totally public blockchain like Bitcoin's, that idea starts to fall apart. What if a specific coin, because you can trace it, remember, was part of some big hack a few years ago? Suddenly, its history is public knowledge. An exchange might see that history and refuse to accept it. That coin is now tainted. It's not the same as a clean coin anymore. And if they're not interchangeable, then Bitcoin isn't really fungible.
And that leaves us with this one last really big thought. True financial privacy, it's not just about hiding. It's about protecting that core quality of money, fungibility. It's about making sure that money can just be money without a history that follows it around and changes its value. And that really makes you wonder, what kind of digital money do we actually want to build for the future?